Oh, hello. Do you know what I'm doing now? That's right. I'm being condescending. Can you say condescending? I thought not. But today we're going to do some crafting. Here's what I made earlier. Hey, now these days, if we're not self-filming or recording demos, we have online meetings, so we can all benefit from a better sounding space. I'm not talking soundproofing, that is stopping sound coming in or out of the room, but cleaning up that muddiness and the flutter echo that plagues so many small spaces. Now, when I first made these panels behind me, I stitched layers of fabric and then hand sewed each foam panel onto a backing. I've come up with a much simpler method. It's cheaper, more effective, really easy, and it's also mobile, which is perfect for renters or anyone who doesn't want them up permanently, or like me, if you want to be able to use them in different spaces. Hi, I'm Scott, and you're watching Inside Musicals, the channel for all things musical theatre. Now, we all know reverb can be flattering on the voice. It helps the sound bloom in a space in a pleasing way. But on the spoken word, it can be distracting. Now, in an average room with parallel walls and hard surfaces, that reverb, or more accurately, the early reflections, are too short to be flattering, and that uneven frequency response gives that boxy sound that can be hard to remove from recordings. Plus, the further away from the mic, the worse it sounds. Now, short of rebuilding, this room is never going to be a perfect acoustic space. It's not too bad when I'm talking like this, but when I'm singing at loud volumes, recording vocals, I can hear that honky boominess in the sound. But by absorbing some of those frequencies, controlling the sound, I can minimise some of those defects, some of those problems. Now, I could just plaster my walls with these things, but as a baritone, they're not thick enough to absorb some of the frequencies at the bottom of my range. The wavelengths are just too long and pass right through, so I could end up with a boomy bottom and a dull top. A boomy bottom and a dull top. Sounds like a gay crime-fighting duo. Oh dear. Plus, two of my walls are windows. Call me old-fashioned, I like a view when I'm working, so I don't want them up permanently. And until I can make more panels, I need them to be movable. I want them against the walls as room treatment when I'm mixing. I want to bring them closer like a booth when I'm tracking vocals. And I also want to be able to use them in my other filming space. Now, some people build a wooden frame and then fill it with compressed rock wool insulation, which can be effective. But if I'm moving these things, I don't want to fill my lungs with fiberglass dust. So here's my solution. And if you know more about acoustics than me, I'd love your feedback. I'm using 6 foam panels, and I'm going to mount them on a polyester acoustic pin board. Now, the board is more than just a solid backing. It absorbs sound in its own right, plus it gives the panel extra depth. The deeper the panel, the lower the frequencies it can absorb, and I'll come back to that. Now, I could use a spray adhesive to glue the foam panels to the backing, but the ones I tested create a solid membrane which is impervious to sound, so I'd lose the benefit of the extra depth of the panel. So instead, I'm using hook and loop dots. Not because I want to take them on and off, but because they'll also leave a small air gap between the foam and the panel, increasing the depth even further. Plus, wherever sound passes through a different medium, it changes velocity, direction, blah, blah, blah. There are acoustic benefits. But that's pretty good. And then when they're on the wall, if I leave an air gap behind the panel, the effective depth is between the wall and the front of the panel, making it deeper still. It's not quite that simple, but that's a theory. Now, to make life easier, I'm starting with a cardboard template, so my dots will all match up. 5 per panel to create that air gap. That's right, I can drill cardboard. Apparently, Judy in HR says I can't be trusted with anything harder. Thanks, Judy. Next, I mark everything up with a silver autograph signing pen. I mean, you do have an autograph signing pen. And be sure to replace the cap after use. You don't want the thing drying out. I mean, can you imagine signing an autograph with a regular pen? Like an animal! Now we apply our dots. Hooks on the panel, loops on the foam, or vice versa. Just don't mix them around or you're screwed. You might have heard that word before. It's what we call a technical term. It's also what my brother did to Debbie Ann Louise after the school dance, and threatened to punch me in the face if I told anyone. My brother's dead now. He can't punch me in the face. Now, the adhesive on the dots is pretty good, but if it ever fails, I'll come back with a glue gun. And as Judy in HR says, Glue guns don't glue people. People glue people. Hey, Editing Scott here. Now it's a couple of days later and I have a teensy issue. When I bought these Velcro dots, they were rolled up in a pack. So once they're on the panel, they want to curl up again, which pulls them off. So my first suggestion is if you can find them available in flat packs, buy those instead. Now I'm going to persist with these, but I'm going to try 4 things. First of all, I'm going to lay the panels flat for a few days with a bit of weight on them to see if that stops that tendency to curl. Now if not, I'll try a cool iron with some fabric in between to try to reshape them. If that still doesn't work, then I might use that spray adhesive on the panels and the foam just where the dots are, let it dry to give a better surface adhesion for the dots. If that still doesn't work, then I might try longer strips of Velcro or something completely different. Regardless, I'll update the description of this video with whatever results I have as soon as I have them. So keep watching for that. And before I put it all together, I want to add some hooks to hang the panels. But because it's a fibre, I can't drill holes in the backing, but because it's polyester, I can burn through it with a soldering iron. Just don't breathe in the fumes. Then we add the bolts, reinforcing the washer. Now I want some randomisation to the panel, so I'll arrange my foam now before I put them into position. And here's a tip to position the foam without getting stuck on all the dots. Start with the corner panel, line up the edges, and then flatten it. Ta-da! And total cost per panel, just under 67 bucks. Which is not bad when you think about some commercial panels that are smaller and thinner and sell for maybe $300-400. Now the great thing about this design is the panels are light enough that they can hang on regular picture hooks. So wherever you're going to hang pictures, you could probably hang these, but check your wall first. Now in a home office, you could hang them on the wall in front of your desk or at the sides, or even just temporarily set them up in a V shape on the desk itself if you need to. Now in a mixing setup, you at least need them on the first reflection points between you and the speakers. For overall room treatment, the general wisdom is to cover about 1/3 of the hard surfaces, which can be quite a lot in a large room. That's a whole thing. You can look that up. Now in a recording situation, I'd put them behind the musician or vocalist, probably in a V shape. You could put one overhead if you really want to create that booth. You don't really need it in front of them because most mics will reject sound from that direction anyway. Now if you want them freestanding, say not hanging on a wall, you can't really sit them on the floor because they need to be above head height to be effective. So you could use an artist's easel. I'm going to hang mine on a T-stand, or you could even make a custom frame for them. Of course, that adds to the cost. And if you don't like the look of them or you want them to match your decor, you can cover them in fabric. It needs to be acoustically transparent though, so either a hessian, gauze, burlap, organza, totally up to you. Now if you do make these panels, let me know how they work for you. And if you want to know anything else about my recording space, filming space, gear, setup, you know what to do, leave me a comment. For now, thank you so much for watching, and join me next time when I say, you know, some people call me a complete tool. Judy in HR says that's because I'm very handy indeed. Judy's what we call a liar. But she says God doesn't punish white lies unless you disappoint him with your reprehensible lifestyle choices. Judy and I don't talk much anymore. Hello, it's me.